Hi, everyone, and welcome to the February meeting of the Bike Walk Commission. I'm
All right. I think we lost Tanner.
Oh, I'm back.
You back?
Yeah, camera's still on its way back. But we're gonna start right off. Thanks to Greg Pacelli from TMP for putting the agenda together. The first thing on the agenda is our representative, Kristen. Is your last name, how do you say it? Levesque or just Levesque?
Kristen Levesque.
Levesque. Well, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank
Greg,
you for
I think,
having me.
made the introduction. So Greg, do you want to do a quick introduction and then we'll pass the time over to Kristen?
Yeah, so I just real quick, as the commission, kind of continues to work on the education materials to share with the public, on guidance with biking and walking throughout the city. We thought it would be good to have to bring in a guest to talk with the commission and give some background on the state DOT's Safe Routes to School program and how the commission could utilize the available resources and links to external resources as well. So it doesn't seem like you guys are, starting from scratch. And saying, I want to welcome Kristen Levesque from CTDOT. She's with the Bureau of Policy and Planning. She's a transportation engineer and the Safe Routes to School coordinator on the active transportation unit. Last year, she led a walk audit around Fox Run School, so she has some familiarity with Norwalk in that neighborhood. She's putting together quite a report around that walk audit, which the city is excited to see. And she's here tonight just to give a little presentation on the Safe Routes to School program. And with that, Kristen, I'll hand it over to you, and you can begin.
Thanks for the introduction. I appreciate it. As Greg mentioned, I'm Kristen Levesque with the Connecticut Department of Transportation and the Safe Routes to School coordinator. The Safe Routes to School program has been in place since 2005, but was just recently reestablished under new legislation, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and revitalized in Connecticut. So the program was expanded to include all schools, grades K through 12. And Connecticut is one of the many states who took advantage of hiring a new Safe Routes to School coordinator with the intent of building up the non-infrastructure program. So that's just a little bit of background. And I can get started. We'll be able to share this. Everybody can see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Great. The Safe Routes to School program is comprised of a framework known as the 6 E's: equity, education, encouragement, evaluation, enforcement, and engineering. Their non-infrastructure portion of the program is the equity, education, and encouragement pieces, and that's kind of what I'd like to focus on tonight. The enforcement and evaluation are those walk audits that Greg mentioned, that kind of taking a look at the site-specific observations and recommendations around a school site and or district-wide. And then enforcement and engineering are components that are not that the recommendations can be made towards those, but that portion of the program is not fully federally funded as it was back in 2005. So to date, equity efforts include involving all schools across the state, reviewing areas of need, increasing our GIS-based mapping efforts, and coordinating contacts through outreach events, making sure that all students in all schools are part of the program, K through 12. Education components include our education components is directly working with the schools to implement bicycle and pedestrian safety education curriculum. We also are very excited about a new program, the Vision Zero program distinction for schools, that came out of some recent legislation. So we do have that distinction award as part of our education components as well. Love to talk to you a little bit about that tonight as well. And then our encouragement can be seen through outreach to community groups, presentations, as well as our events. The Safe Routes to School program participates in 2 national events each year, one in October and one in May, and that's the National Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day. So we've made great progress. When we initially started, in the first May event that we had last year, we had about 25 schools participate, but then this last October event was more, we kind of broke some records and we were up at 38 schools. So we'd love to see that kind of continue to grow and have those events be part of that encouragement pieces of the program. So our next event our next event day is May 8th, just for your information, and hopefully, we can get some additional participation in Norwalk through that Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day event piece. The non-infrastructure portions of the program provide free technical assistance with education and encouragement. As I mentioned, the bicycle and pedestrian safety curriculum resources are free and available, as well as having an implementation portion. We have technical assistance, and we can provide some help getting that started, getting, kind of what it would look like for Norwalk, kind of making that piece happen. And again, as I mentioned, the Vision Zero Program Distinction Award is available, and it's on our website. We're right on the DOT website. The Safe Routes to School has its own page. The benefits for students is to improve Connecticut health rating, academic performance, and attendance. For municipalities, we see improvements in air quality and congestion around schools, as well as an increase in safety. Hopefully you can see this.
Mm-hmm.
This is an example. This is on our website. This is the bicycle and pedestrian safety education curriculum. Now, what we found is it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all for each school district or municipality. So what we've done is vetted some resources for elementary, middle, and high school for bicycle safety education and pedestrian safety education. And they can be implemented in a variety of ways, from maybe an assembly or a health class to 40-minute lessons over the course of a semester, to even on-bike and on-road pedestrian and bicycle safety lessons for what we found works best is fourth grade. So in that elementary level, in that fourth grade piece, which requires a little bit more coordination. Again, we're happy to work with the schools, school districts, municipalities, commissions like yourselves to be able to make that happen. And our resources are, those links are all available on the website. In addition, as I mentioned, the Vision Zero program distinction for schools, it requires some knowledge of Vision Zero, zero fatalities or serious injuries on our roadways. It also is some instruction or project-led activities around driver safety and pedestrian safety. We're looking in particular for student-led projects when possible. That always is kind of gives us the best input from our students, and or any kind of participation in those three activities is kind of what we're looking for the Vision Zero program distinction for schools. Again, there's more information on our website. So I hope that kind of gives you some information about our program. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, thanks. I'll go ahead with the question. We have a commissioner who is kind of taking point on education and relationships with the public schools, and unfortunately, he was one of the ones that's running late. So I'm going to try and ask some of the questions that I think he would ask. That's Manny Salgado, and I would like to connect you with him. And I'm hoping he arrives before you have to leave tonight. But it seems like so right now in Norwalk, we have, to my knowledge, and I think to all of our knowledge, no curriculum in the schools whatsoever relating to, at the very least, bicycles. I don't know as much about pedestrian safety, but I haven't heard anything there either. So we're kind of starting from square one. It seems like the most helpful thing that I heard in your presentation was all this pre-built curriculum, the one on the last slide of yours. The connection that we have so far that we've been trying to work through is the department or the director of transportation for the public school, for Norwalk Public Schools. Is there typically a better point of contact than a director of transportation?
No, she's been very helpful. I've also kind of been in communication with her to try to determine what would be best to kind of figure out the education components and how to get that implemented. And again, as I mentioned, it's not really a one size fits all, right? So each district that we've worked with, each municipality is different size, right? And they may have different number of schools, different site specific types of opportunities and challenges. So I'm happy to like kind of, help answer questions, meet, facilitate, kind of figure out how that might work best. I'd encourage you to look through the curriculum links that are available and see, kind of what might work for maybe even starting at a specific location. I don't know if that helps to answer your question, but there isn't necessarily as I mentioned, like that one size fits all, right? Like, so it doesn't really happen one way for every community.
Gotcha. I want to toss it to Christine or Emily, if either of you have a question about Safe Routes to School.
Thanks, Tanner, and welcome, Kristen, and wonderful opportunity here we have, and to have you here. So great for you to take time out of your busy day and be here for this evening. So I have a couple questions. The great presentation. It's wonderful that this has been back legislatively for more to expand this whole Safe to Schools, because Safe Routes, I know Norwalk's been involved and got a lot of money before for some of the sidewalks and things. I guess there is a school in Norwalk that has participated in the roll rock event, the elementary school.
It's Rowheaton Elementary, right?
Yeah, we were trying to reach out and connect with that to see how we could expand that. I actually work in a high school, and my students, I work in Stanford, but it's an interdistrict magnet school, so we have kids from Norwalk, but they love to do this kind of student-led projects you were speaking about driver safety, and they participated in the contest that the DOT has, for the safe driving. So I would love to maybe talk to you offline a little bit of how to engage those students a little bit more. And my second thing is, would you recommend us as a commission or some of us to participate in the Safe Routes to School Summit that's held annually? Is that something beneficial that you see, or I'm not really clear. I've never been to the summit.
I don't have any recommendations on the summit. Unfortunately, that's not something that, I think, is it the One Led Safe Routes Partnership is like a national organization. So they have a lot of great information and resources available as well. I don't have a specific recommendation on it, but I would be very happy to connect with you on the projects that your students have already done. All of those driver safety types of contests and all of those events really help lead to that knowledge, and really they're already halfway there in terms of that Vision Zero program distinction.
Yeah. Also we have a GIS lab at our school with GIS mapping and stuff. It's the Academy of Information Technology and Engineering. So kids are pursuing engineering degrees, a lot of them. So, and I'm also I'm a bike educator for the National League of American Bicyclists. I'm a certified league instructor. So, but this is a big part of what we as a commission want to expand, is this whole educational piece that we have a little bit of we're expanding it.
And I'm glad you mentioned the high school level as well, because I did mention the on-bike pedestrian and bicycle safety education for our fourth graders. That's through Bike Walk CT, their curriculum. But we also have vetted for the high school level the smart cycling curriculum. And we've seen and observed that at the high school level as working very effectively. So especially, it being an LCI, that could be something very helpful to get that piece of the program started. So it is an on-bike component for the high school level as well.
I want to give Emily a chance. Emily, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. One thing that I don't know if it's appropriate to bring up, but going to or attending upcoming events that we're going to be participating in, would you have any way of participating in those as Safe Routes for Norwalk?
What kind of events are you thinking about specifically, Emily?
Like the Earth Day celebration, or events where we like table or give out information. Would Safe Routes have like educational, as well as the online, toolkit resources you mentioned, like having some sort of way of participating in events like those?
So I guess what I would encourage you to do is register with the program. So that's also on our website. There is a button right available to register with the program. And then it's easier for me to connect directly with what it is that, yeah, that's our website. Yep.
Yeah, this was going to
so
be my
right
next
there.
question.
Yes. Yep. That register for SRTF. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And that really gives us an idea of exactly what it is that you might be interested in, right? And like that we might be able to help with. Yep. There's a list right there of different types of, what your role is, is a little bit of basic information, and then kind of from the things that we offer, what it is that you might be interested in. And then it will help me like more directly respond to whatever the specific needs are.
So has anybody from Norwalk ever filled out this form or registered?
It would be great if you would like to register. Yep. It doesn't have to be one person from each city. It could be, or municipality. It can be, your role as a
commission.
Yep, as a commission, and then you can write that right in, and then there's a listing of what we offer.
Okay, so this designated Safe Routes to School champion, there's not necessarily one of those per town.
Not necessarily. Yeah.
I see. Okay,
And
I was assuming there was.
Yeah. Sorry, that's misleading. Yeah.
But part of my question is I'm trying to get a sense of what work has been done before in Norwalk, and it sounds like you do have a relationship with Joanna from NPS.
Yeah,
Joanna Zanvetter. But that's kind of the extent to which your program has been involved in Norwalk, is through Joanna. Is that right?
Yeah, we've just begun to be involved with Norwalk, and as Greg mentioned, we recently had the walk audit over at Fox Run.
Yep, I was there, and Manny was there as well.
Yeah. And so we've kind of just begun, and so if we can help to, and we've also, like I had mentioned, kind of just really started to revitalize the program this year and offer these specific education components, as well as kind of a central place to register for that Walk, Bike, Enroll to School Day. That's the second button for registering right there. Registration for the next Walk, Bike, Enroll to School Day in May opens in March. So when you click on that button in March, it will start to have the registration specifically. But this gives you a lot of information on, what you might want to plan for an event or what it might look like, how you can kind of contribute to making it successful, and hopefully gives you a little bit more information on that. The Visions, your program distinctions, the next button over, and that's that application and that's where you get a little bit more information on, how to apply or how to kind of request that distinction based on the work that you've done.
Okay, so I'm trying to come up with next steps, and I'm also trying to come up
Yes.
with like one of the reasons that we invited you is because as we were doing our strategic planning for the year 2024, we wanted to do a lot more with education, and people were like, oh, we should do Safe Routes to School, and my reaction was, I don't even know what it means to like do Safe Routes. So that's what I'm trying to understand here. Obviously, registration is the first step, but as far as like things that we could work toward in 2024, maybe milestones that we could set a milestone for like holding a Walk, Bike, Roll to School event in May. And is there another date also in the fall? I seem to remember
Yes,
that.
there is. Yep. It's the first, I believe the first Wednesday in October. I think the first Wednesday in May this year is May 1st. So they made it May 8th because just so people would know. But it's May 8th. And then I believe it's the first Wednesday in October. But what we found is it doesn't, and we've worked with lots of different municipalities and school districts over the course of the year, and it doesn't always have to fall on that particular day. It can be a day that's convenient for, for everybody. So, and then sometimes, it's helpful to have different have events at different schools on different days so that there can be support for those events on the different days. So that's also something to think about as you're looking to kind of support the schools with those event days, which can be a very helpful way to kind of get that encouragement piece going.
Yeah. So in terms of things that we could work toward this year, I guess we could also work toward perhaps a goal of trying to get some curriculum into the schools, like in the school year that starts in the fall, right? But is there anything obvious that I'm missing that like a milestone that you would like to see us or you know any town in Connecticut working toward, you know, on the timeline of like a year or less?
So if you wanted to take a look at the Vision Zero program distinction, I mean, I think that could be something that could be, we're looking to get, you know, applications rolling in by May 1st. So that could be an area that could use some support as well. Really, you know, kind of helping to get those pedestrian safety skill education components. If you're looking to support the education and bicycle safety education pieces into the schools.
So it looks like this is something that we could maybe advocate for and drive to some degree, but ultimately it looks like it's got to come from the Board of Ed.
It can be something that's proposed to the Board of Ed. The Board of Ed that's how the legislation was written, that the Board of Ed would be the one to apply, or a representative from the Board of Ed would be the one to apply. But as a commission, if that's something that you know, would like to help advocate for, that's something that we're looking for in terms of a timeline by May 1st.
Gotcha.
I
Okay.
think that's, sorry, Tan, I think that's a great, that we kind of get on the Board of Ed agenda somehow, because that is the way to go. I'm working in a school, I know without that, it's just really hard to break through with the unions and everything. So I think that would be a great next step,
It makes
contacting
sense.
the Board of Ed.
It makes sense. I noticed that Manny is finally here. Manny, before we lose Kristen, do you have any questions about Safe Routes to School? I know that you missed a lot of the context, but I want to give you a quick opportunity.
Sorry, Tanner, did you mention my name?
Yes, this is your chance to ask a question if you have one.
Sorry, I had just logged on at not just a few minutes ago because I was at a different meeting. And I'm logging on now.
Welcome.
I don't have additional meeting questions at the time. But I definitely, you know, I missed most of your presentation, and so I would love to I would just like get the meeting notes, and then after that ask some more questions based on that.
Yeah, okay, then let's we'll do more stuff offline. Kristen, thank you for attending. Thanks for all the work that you do in the program and for sharing it with us, for coming here on an evening. We hope to get a lot more involved this year in 2024. I think later in this meeting, we might talk about the exact goals that we're going to nail down for 2024, but we don't expect you to stick around. So go enjoy your evening.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you, you know, looking at the, you know, through the registration components or through any other questions you might have. You can always go through Greg, and he knows how to get a hold of me. I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk about the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Greg, for making that connection. So taking a look at the agenda, as written, we now have public comment. We then have capital budget requests from TMP, and Jim is here to present those. Thank you, Jim, for attending. We're going to talk about the strategic plan, like I just alluded to. I'm going to give an update on the recreational trails grant. Manny's going to give an update about education. We're going to talk about the Bike Friendly Communities application. And I want to propose that we move this around just a little bit. Christine, you have to leave early, is that right?
Yeah, Tanner, I'm really sorry. I have a class I'm taking tonight, but you can skip out for me. So just
Would you like
proceed.
to be here when we talk about the Bike Friendly Communities?
I mean, yes, of course, I'd love to be here for the whole meeting, but please let Jim go, and I just congratulations to the team here. So I'll let you have the honor of talking about it, but I have to go now. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for attending, Christine. All right, then I think we will keep the agenda as written. And next is public comment. So I will open it up to members of the public. So please put your hand up. We've got Sarah Roy. She was first. Go ahead, Sarah.
Tanner, can you hear me?
Yes, I didn't know you were coming tonight.
I meant to tell you and I forgot. I'm sorry. Thanks for letting me talk. I just wanted to say hi. I've been meaning to get back into coming to your meetings regularly, and I've spoken here before about CT rides. We're a free program of the State Department of Transportation, but I wanted to say that the annual Connecticut Drive Less Climate Challenge will be coming up in May, and it also coincides with, Bike Month and Bike and Walk to School. And if you all would like CT Rides partnership and support in any events or activities or other opportunities, I'm happy to talk offline, but wanted to get in early because last year I think you did a bike to work thing, and we missed the opportunity to be involved. So anything that we can help you with this spring with your activities, please give me a shout out, and I'll be in regular contact about it too.
Thanks, Sarah. Can you give us the date on that Drive Less CT challenge?
Yes, so the Drive Less Climate Challenge starts on Earth Day, April 22nd, and it goes through May 31st. And
Okay.
that's the point where when you sign up to use the CT Rides app, you're automatically given a certain number of points on the app, and then you're also, depending on how many greener trips you record during that time period, you're automatically entered to win. Last year it was $100, $250, or $500 gift card. We have raffles for those. It's going to be even better prizes this year. They haven't finalized those yet, but that'll start Earth Day.
Great. Well, thanks for the pleasant surprise joining our meeting, and
Yeah.
we will discuss how we can be involved in the Drive Less CT challenge. We definitely want to do stuff for Bike Month again, which is
Yeah.
May, for those of you following along at home. But we haven't defined it, so we will keep that in mind.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'll reach out as well. I just I'll hang around for a bit and listen because I always enjoy your meetings. So
Well,
thanks.
thank you. We also have a hand up from Audrey. Go ahead, Audrey.
Yeah, hi, and hello to Sarah, long time no see. Yeah, speaking of Earth Day, here in Norwalk, we have Norwalk's Earth Day on the Green coming up on April 27th, which is the Saturday just after the official Earth Day. And we have over 20 partners now planning this big shebang, big festival. Ranging from city offices and agencies to environmental groups to community and volunteer groups such as Sustainable Streets. The Bike Walk Commission has participated with Earth Day the first 2 years. We're going now into the third annual. And Emily Berneman has been representing the Bike Walk Commission and Sustainable Streets at our meetings. And she's teaming up with Julia Green and a few other groups. There's a lot of intersection between groups, which is really terrific to see in planning the walking and biking tours. We're featuring the elements: air, water, earth, and what's the other one?
Fire.
Spirit, yeah, right. And fire. And walking and biking certainly fit into many of them. Air pollution. We want to have, good health and good soil and all that. So what we're also looking for is some financial sponsorship. It helps pay for porta potties and any live music that we might have. And we're thankful for the portable bike racks. Last year, Representative Jim Himes arrived on his bike, and he didn't have any place to put his bike either. So anyway, just putting it out there that on April 27th, we'd love to have any assistance. And Jim Travers, you might be leading another walk again along Wall Street, as you do. And so just letting you know, just putting it out on the radar. And thanks to Emily and to Julia for participating too. All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Audrey. And shout out to Emily for, as Audrey said, representing the commission.
Yeah,
and
she's
planning
doing
meetings.
great.
Greg, it's not on the agenda. Otherwise, I would ask later. But on last month, we did ask for an update about the event bike racks, and I think they were still in transit at that point. Have they arrived?
No, not yet. So they haven't, so in talking with the vendor, he's waiting to ship them. When I spoke to him over email last week, he had said he's shipping them out soon. I don't know what that means, but I said we need them by April, and he said he would get them to us definitely before then.
Gotcha.
So I will double back with him again this week and make sure he ships them sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's frustrating that it's taking this long to ship, but.
Yeah, he's
again,
received everything from the city.
Yeah,
So he's not
Yeah,
waiting from
it's not
anything
waiting.
from us. We're waiting for him to actually just ship it.
yeah, the point I was trying to make is that, it's a good thing that we did this so early, so far in
Yeah.
advance, because it turns out that we need that.
Yep.
But great, thank you for the update. Any other members of the public? I want to recognize that we have a couple new people, Eric V and Nick. Thank you for attending. And if you want to speak, now is your chance, because you won't have a chance later. Alrighty, then I think we can move on. We're a couple minutes ahead of schedule, and we'll turn the time over to Jim Travers, who's representing TMP, to present the TMP budget requests. I've been looking forward to this.
Hey guys, how are you?
Thanks for joining, Jim.
Greg, are you gonna share what you sent out to them? And also, while you're pulling that up, if you can multitask, let's talk to Chris and see if there's any maybe security fencing or something that he has that we could use at least for portable bike racks. So see if we can't make something happen. Okay, so this is what represents the capital budget requests that TMP put out. It runs into this year, and then we kind of just wanted to run some out year projects to let people know, like the boards and commissions, that this, we're looking at things, outside long term. But I'll run down what totals are requests. I think for what we would ask at this point, if there are things that are particularly strikes your interest, if you could let your elected officials know these are important things to you, right? This is we put them out, so we think are all important, right? So but we recognize that things will get cut, and so, but if there are things that are particularly interested in, I would make sure your voice is heard, right? So the first way is roadway design and reconstruction. So this is funding that we put in each year. It enables us to do design that may be part of a grant request. It allows us to be responsive to issues that come up. I think primarily we use this as like safety related issues that come up right away. Like, for example, I'm thinking so Greg, the intersection that we're doing near the high school that we're doing, do we want to right size the intersection?
That's Williams at County Street.
Williams at County Street. Williams at County was one that was identified to us by neighbors as an issue. In looking at it, it's just a really big intersection. And we want to look at, we can tighten it up there. We're seeing a fair amount of crashes that occur here. It's just because the stop bars are really so far away from each other. So that could be like one that we're looking at. But this is I think one we use for not only design but for construction, those quick hits that we would do. The next item on our agenda is our traffic signal equipment. This is $350,000 request. This is a signal that would be associated with the new high school. We, in working with the consultant that is doing the high school, we identified a fair amount of students. When we did counts, over 60 students walk across to come this way in an unsignalized environment on Strawberry Hill. And additionally, they're moving the vehicles out of a new driveway. So we feel that the safest maneuver was a signal here to allow people to cross, but also cars to get out.
Jim, can you reiterate what cross streets that is for this signal that you're talking about?
So it will be at the school driveway, at the new school driveway.
The new South Norwalk Elementary.
The new the new Norwalk High School on Strawberry
okay.
Hill,
Yes,
where
okay,
their new driveway will be located under
yes,
the new configuration of the school. It's to get the students to be able to cross the street there,
Got it.
and to also allow vehicles to exit, since they're moving more vehicles out of that driveway.
okay, so Strawberry Hill and Norwalk High,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you, keep going.
The next one is new sidewalk construction. Probably the single most requested thing that we get, which is great, right? Because that was not the case before. And I think the issue is the city builds more sidewalks, you get more people saying, you know, that we want sidewalks. We have a rather lengthy list of sidewalks that come here, but this is also allows us to work in combination with DPW if they're, you know, because DPW replaces new sidewalk or replaces existing sidewalk, right? So if they're going to be on X street, for example, and X street has footpaths, right? They will replace the footpaths while they're there, but they're working within the confines of their project area. We often will look at how we can extend that to connect to maybe there's a block missing that connects to continued sidewalks. We'd go after that block that's missing. I think what we're looking at here is we have two ones that were identified that are a little challenging. One of them on Soundview that has a fair amount of ledge. That we are looking at a design now of how we could get that in there, but we were out there at school crossings at school dismissal time and see a lot of students trying to navigate that.
I remember
think
running into you
you
guys
might
on
have saw me
Soundview.
when I was out there.
Yes, I was on my bike.
Yeah.
That was like months ago, but yes,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you know that's so you know those are that you see, you know, our requests go increased in out years where we have to forecast what we think that it's there. So we they don't hold us to the forecast out, but just for, you know, like the finance board wants to look, is this a one-time hit or is this going to be something that's reoccurring, right? The traffic signal enhancements are, you know, what we own about 90 signals. You know, we're not going to be replacing 90 signals, but there's sometimes that we need to put in equipment to keep these older ones functioning. So this is you know, capital expenses associated with elongating the life of a traffic signal.
Jim, can I pause you really quick?
Yeah.
The order that you're going in, is this an order of priority or is this just an arbitrary order?
So this was so we were asked to put it, so I should have, excuse me, I should have prefaced that this is the order of what we see as priority, right?
Okay.
So roadway design and reconstruction was the first one because it allows us an opportunity to open up additional resources for in terms of grants and whatnot that allows us to get additional funds. The traffic signal was needs to be associated with the new high school, and it was not included in the high school budget. New sidewalk construction is there because it's some of the, you know, most requested items that we get. And then traffic signals have to keep the city working, right? The next one in line is our Safe Routes to School. We upped our Safe Routes to School this year and for out years. Safe Routes to School to this point was funded at $250,000. We're looking at $500,000. You know, again, you know, as we put more sidewalks around schools, the request for additional sidewalks, like I think Tanner, you were with us when I think Kristen was doing the Safe Routes to School at Fox Run, right? That, you know, the section that we did in front of Fox Run just led to additional questions from people from the community about getting sidewalks, because we don't bus our kids a mile from schools. So if they can't walk, then they're driving, right?
Yep.
So we're looking at this as a hopefully a funded project because I think we get a big return on our investment here. Right?
And do you have specific corridors that you're looking at for this 500,000 yet or not?
So we have a number of ones that we're working with a few schools on for identifying. You know, we heard from Fox Run. We heard we heard from Tracy. We heard there's a path as up the new Cranberry School, we did ramps, but didn't, DPW put in ramps when they were up there, but not connecting them to the pathway. So we think that there's a lot of those opportunities, I think, to come and play.
So it sounds like a lot of little things,
Yeah.
a lot of little connecting the dots.
And then the next one is the Wall Street corridor improvements. This one you'll see outlying years as it goes for wrapping up to what we believe the end of the project. This will be a multi-year project. We need to this is feeding the design. So we have now morphed this into a $27 million project. Designs usually cover 10% of construction. That's what we typically see, what cost design. I think we'll be at a little less than this one, just for the scales of magnitude. But there are also items that, when we go after the, various types of grants, and most of them are traffic related, there are other things that do not get included in there. And so we're looking for, city resources to make those happen. We will break ground on phase 1 of the Wall Street corridor in the spring. We have actually tomorrow, we are going to the DPW committee tomorrow night, DPW committee for them to approve the contract with the vendor. Who will start phase 1 of that, and then we will also highlight when we do the next community meeting to talk about where we are with that one. So Wall Street you'll see on, but this year is a year we're going to see something shovel in the ground.
Nice. A couple questions for clarity. I've heard the 27 million number before, and I've also heard a number along with that 21 million of the 27 million has been funded.
Yes, it's secured. Yep.
And so will this 500,000 go toward making up that 6 million gap, or is it for a different purpose?
This is to advance. This is to continue to advance design. We don't have design fully
I see.
funded yet, so this is what this is. This most of this goes into advance to continue to be able to advance the design, and then in outlying years when we're in construction and we have gaps for things that won't get covered, that we actually could get them in.
Okay,
So it's not intended to. We don't think that we are going to be we don't think that we're going to need to be able to have the city fund the last remaining $6 million. We think that we will, as we further the design, we think that grant money will be made available.
I see. So just in absolute layman's terms for the people following along at home, the work that was started a year or two ago that included the big public meeting or multiple meetings that were held at the library and the concept plans that your department released, that is part of the design process, and it is not finished. And part of the reason that it's not finished is because you're looking for more funding, and this represents that more funding.
Yes, and we wanted to make sure that, what we heard from the Wall Street, well, I think, in fairness, I think what we heard loud and clear from Wall Street was the disbelief that we're actually going to do it, since they had 40 years of promises being made that we didn't do it, right? So we wanted to parse off a section so that we could start it, so that they could see that we weren't just talking about doing another plan, but that we're actually going to do it. So we'll do the East Wall Street section between Brooks and Main. And then we are working with the developer of Wall Street Place for Isaac Street, and for improvements there. And then we will work at advancing the design to get the other section of the corridor done. And then simultaneously, we also have worked with a consultant on the concrete work needed for the Yankee Doodle Garage. So we'll also start with the Yankee Doodle Garage.
Gotcha. Two more quick follow-up questions. One, you said that the scope for phase 1, the East Wall Street phase, goes to Main Street. Does it include the entire intersection of Wall and Main? This was a specific question I got from a resident just the other day.
Yeah, so it includes getting the other side to get each leg of that intersection with a crosswalk to allow you to cross the street.
Great. Okay. That's great. And then the other follow-up question, then we can move on. For Wall Street, assuming that this 500,000 request is granted, when can we expect work to pick back up on the design for phase 2?
Well, we continue to work on that. This is so that we feed the monster. We haven't stopped working on
Okay.
design. We've been doing this all along, right? But we will plan when we do, you know, our intent is that we are going to do a groundbreaking for the first phase in the spring, right? And we're in April, right? So we're not far away. And at that time, also do announce a public meeting for the, you know, to just to get everyone together, keep them in the room. Shoot, here we are, just, you know, keep everybody up to date. I think we've had really good momentum with the group to this date, so we would look to continue that in very short order right after that one.
Okay, so public meeting for phase 2 design sometime shortly after April.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Please continue.
So the next one is pavement markings and signage. So this is, you know, we see this, you know, we have this out, we're probably going to skip next year as we think that we could do that. But this is, you know, this is when we remark pavement, when we add edge lines, when we do our signage. We're looking at new signage, piloting on Wall Street soon. We were looking to go through the final phase of it today, but that didn't happen. So that'll happen soon so that we can get that new signage up for Wall Street. But lots of stuff happens with this one. We use it every year, so it's one ongoing longevity of putting this together. The next one is the West Rocks Road sidewalks. So you will probably remember that we received a grant. The grant was $1.4 million. We coupled that with a roughly $200,000 grant to create crosswalks and ramps to create connection at key intersections in that corridor. And obviously that, you know, those two combined still isn't enough to get us sidewalks. So we think that $350,000 is that gap we need to do. We have been working with DOT for the release of those funds. We suspect that we will be in a position to get that released and bid this year. So we're hopeful that by the end of this season, we'll be out to bid for the long-awaited West Rock Road sidewalks. The next one is the East Avenue corridor improvements. You may remember last year we put in a request for the East Avenue corridor and it was only partially funded. So we have asked for the remainder part funded so that we could move that forward. The next one is streetlights, a relatively small item for the amount of streetlights that we have, but we have no, you know, like we had one that fell down on West Avenue, and we have no mechanism to put them up without this grant. So you know, this allows us to put LED light fixtures in them. You know, for our pedestrian signals that we do dark sky compliant, which we've moved all of our signals to dark sky compliant. So that'll go into this. The next item is George Avenue sidewalks. So George Avenue sidewalks were identified in the 2012 Transportation Master Plan that was originated from a 2010 community meeting. And it was listed as a priority there. It was just listed as the priority in the 2022 Transportation Master Plan. And so we said we can't continue to have an item as our #1 priority of sidewalks if we don't start to invest in sidewalks. So we put the request in to have the long-awaited George Avenue sidewalks completed this year.
And if I recall, as part of the Transportation Master Plan process, the consultant did a design for this project, right?
Well, they did a concept.
They did a concept. Okay.
Yeah, proof of concept. We still have to complete a design to make it happen and do the survey, but we have a concept.
Cool.
Next is traffic safety data. So we've been working on the creation of traffic safety data that we look at crashes, that we look at road topology, that we identify activity to the street, that we also use for, we do development reviews for every development that comes in, and we have priority, we list conditions upon their approval that they may do a traffic count, or they may do this. And so that will be a repository for this, but this is to continue to build out our traffic safety data.
Does this include, or does this represent a streetlight license?
It would include in area.
Gotcha. Follow-up question. I know that this work, Kyle's been taking the lead on this work that you're describing, right? I talked to him about it during the process of filling out the Bike-Friendly Communities application last fall. And back then, I remember being impressed with the work and looking forward to the point at which he was done enough that he could present at least like a summary of his work and his findings to the commission. Could we arrange that soon?
So we're still fine tuning some of the things as we go through. I don't know that it's ready for the big show yet, but I think soon. Yeah.
Okay. Well, as soon as it is ready for the big show, we'd be very interested in having him present to the commission.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, we'd love to show it because I think this is going to be cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm particularly interested because I'm a data guy, but I think it'll be very relevant to the commission as well.
No, yeah, I think it's great. Sure.
All right. Let's keep going.
The next one is, our protected crosswalks. These, are largely, looking at funds for RFPs, to be funded, off this line item. The next line item is the pedestrian crosswalk. I envision this is, it's a pedestrian signal or maybe a hawk, still yet to be designed, but we built a crossing on both sides of the road, but the nearest crosswalk is 150 feet, 200 feet down. So we think that the best line is that to keep somebody in motion there, but the only way to get them across the street is to get some type of protected crossing. So we put
You're
in
talking about 40 Cross Street here?
What?
You're talking about 40 Cross Street here?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, but I completely agree.
Yeah.
I was very happy to see that here, by the way.
All right.
Sorry, do you mind scrolling back up? I'm taking notes and I'd love to get the amount down. That was 275K. Thanks.
Yep. Okay. So then the next we see as what we have identified as some out year projects so that we could just let the board know that there's some outlying projects that we want to do. We think that this year we have to wrap up the current phase of the NRBT that we're in right now. We also didn't add any funding in this year because WestCog won the RAISE grant for design of the NRBT. So we think our efforts are going to be best spent looking at those. And then we put some placeholders in there for outlying years, not necessarily being that $100,000 will be the right number for next year, but just a placeholder to get something in.
So, but it's a placeholder for an amount that will be used for construction, ostensibly for a local match?
It might be a local match. It might be to further a design. I think we're going to kind of see how it plays out with what WestCog has got for the RAISE grant and what do we need to do. But
well, in theory, the RAISE grant was for design, right? It was for 100% design for the entire remainder of the trail.
It was. I don't think that they have enough to do that though, personally.
Okay.
But and I think that we'll have some particular challenges that gets us onto the other side of 7. So I think we need to kind of take a lead to figure that one out.
Yeah. Well, good to see the placeholder here.
All right. The next one is also North Main Street corridor improvements. We think that this is another project that's soon to take place. This is, we did the road safety, you remember we did the safety audit of this corridor, so this is really looking at like we've kind of talked about these things, and I think we, you know, we need to start planning that, when we, there might be a couple of opportunities. There might be different travel patterns that happen as a result of the walk bridge. So we might be able to have an ability to do construction that would be less disruptive, when that happens as well. If it's coordinated correctly, or it might follow the end of the project. But in any case, we wanted to get that in there as a placeholder. And additionally,
And does this represent planning and design?
this is
Or, sorry, design and
this
construction?
is the planning and design, yeah,
So not construction.
not construction.
Okay, keep going.
The next is the Gregory Boulevard at Fifth Street intersection improvements, right? So this would be so we have the money for design. We will be doing a community meeting this spring, and maybe late fall, late winter, spring timeframe. So we will believe that we can advance that to design, and we'll look at, we want to just put that, if we can find a grant for that, the grant would then take over this, so we wouldn't do it. But we, it is a challenging, it's not extremely designed correctly and I think it has a lot of issues there, so we want to make sure that we start to fix that one.
So
Is
this
that-
would be for construction.
That would be for construction, yes.
Go ahead,
And
Manny.
this is the roundabout, right, that we're talking about, or that intersection?
Yes, yep, yeah.
And in what stage of design is that? I feel like maybe I didn't see a design for this.
No, we're going to be doing a community meeting to talk about what that design would be, right? So
Gotcha.
we haven't had a community meeting yet. We'll do that, and then we've identified a consultant to work on the design, so they will participate in the public participation community meetings
Mhm.
for that, and then we will advance that design.
So is the design work funded?
The design work is funded, yes.
Oh, I guess if you've already identified a consultant, then it probably is. When do you think that work will start? Like when do you anticipate that meeting being held?
So that one will be late winter, early spring.
Of this year. So just in the
Yep.
next few months. Cool.
Yep. I thought we would be able to do it around this time, but we're still wrapping up some of the NRVT stuff that's becoming quite labor intensive to bring that to fruition. So I want to get that one done before too much more time passes.
Yeah, I think we are all agreed that we are ready for that thing to be done.
I'm very much ready for that to be done.
Steve, you have?
So the next is the Seaview Avenue corridor improvements. So that was the public meeting that we did earlier. We're looking to advance the design. I think that there'll be a good percentage of this we could fund, but with a grant, but we're anticipating that there will be a match. So this would be that anticipated match to bring that design to fruition.
So you're not talking about a local match for a design grant. You're saying that the rest of the design work that needs to be done. Oh, you
We're
are
doing the rest of the design work, and we're putting in what we believe would be a percentage of a local match needed to secure a grant.
So if it's like an 80-20 match, then we're talking about 300 or 3 million for just for design work.
No, the design's done. This is going to be for the local match, isn't for design, it's for construction.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I thought we were only at 30% design for that one. Or is the rest funded still?
We have enough funds to get us to about 90%. So we're working at, we're
Okay.
we're continuing to plug away on everything that was identified in the community meeting. And we will have another community meeting once a grant funding, a grant funder is identified, because there's always a requirement of a community meeting with that, and we want to make sure that what we do is going to satisfy the funder's requirements.
Okay, that's clear to me. Thank you.
Okay. The next one, just from a workload perspective, Silver Mine, we get many phone calls from our friends up Silver Mine Avenue for sidewalks. I have to concur with them. They're not in really great shape. We're trying to coordinate this effort with DPW on road work that's up there, but you know, we think that we should make an investment for sidewalks up at this corridor. Equally to that is Linden Street sidewalks, which were identified in the transportation master plan, putting those out there. And then tied to that, North Main Street, where I talked to you about, it might be a great opportunity to work on these when we have walk bridge interruptions. You know, if we could coordinate it well. We also put that we need to start to, you know, the Washington Street streetscape improvements will need to be done. You know, I think we need some improvements that to happen over there. So and some community participation to see what those would be. So we put that in for next year.
So
And
so
then
just like the North Main, that would be planning and design money?
that would be design money. Yep.
And
Yes.
then just to back up a sec, the Linden Street sidewalks, that would be construction. Silver Mine Ave, that would be construction.
Yes.
Great, keep going.
Okay. The next would be design in the Rowayton Village. The village section, working with community, how to make a plan there. I think it's, you know, there's a lot of organic stuff that's happened down there, but I think that, you know, we see a potential plan of Wilson at Rowayton down there as being a key intersection that brings you into the village, and keeping speeds at a, you know, relatively low volume through proper design of that section of road. So that'll be in for an out year, as well as Taylor Avenue sidewalks.
Would that be the
And-
entire length of Taylor? I live on Taylor, so I'm excited about this.
What? You live on Taylor?
I live on Hillside, which is right next to Taylor, right
Okay.
off of Taylor. But like, I know exactly where the one gap is that I know is on the sidewalk
Yep.
map that you presented a few months ago.
Yeah.
So would
So-
this be just for that gap, or this would be for like refreshing everything?
So this would be so that one gap we want to get, so I think we want to advance that one gap sooner. This would be looking for those other deficiencies that happen. It's a busy street, right? And I
Yep.
think that we have, I think in many instances, we have some ADA ramp issues, we have other gaps, we have other challenges, and this would be, you know, not a big investment, but I think an important investment to make to fill in those other opportunities that are there.
Gotcha. I know this is slightly outside the scope, but I hear requests for traffic calming a lot on that street. I don't know how many of them have made it through click and request into your ticket system, but could this money potentially be used for, you know, or maybe the sidewalk work could include traffic calming elements?
Yes, very much
Right.
so, yes. So we see opportunities for, like, here, I think what we see in more thing is, you know, this would be opportunities for bulb outs around, you know, some key intersections where we have some challenges,
Nice.
where we have people who are parking too close to the corner that interfere a lot with these things. So yes, we think that there is some hardscape that could be in with those, because if we have a ramp, we don't want to replace it with a ramp. If we could actually replace it with something that also has this dual purpose, allow somebody to be, you know, to shorten the distance between crossing streets, but also
Mhm,
keep
mhm.
cars away from the intersection, give you a little bit easier to edge out. Because I think there is some topology, with the topology, there's some challenges because the streets that approach it, you know, are on a
Yeah, coming
decline,
up a
right?
hill.
And so we think that there's an easier way that if we do a bulb out, advance some sight lines, and then get it to where, you know, pedestrians have a shorter distance, but cars also can't be close to an intersection, that will have some benefits of coming. So that's, all those would be included in it. We
Right,
haven't
so-
designed it yet, but I think we have a desire to bring some change to the corridor.
So this money would be for construction? Because I figured it was for design.
So I think that we'll be able to get, you know, when we're talking, you know, we could do some of this that, you know, this in-house, so, you know, the less complicated
Okay,
stuff.
yeah.
So that we think that this could be, you know, to bring change to the corridor, not to design.
Gotcha. I mean, it sounds like at a high level, you're describing just like making it a complete street. And that may
Yeah.
not mean adding bike facilities, but it does mean like considering the corridor holistically and not just like building sidewalks
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah.
Yeah, great. And that brings us, I guess, to there's two more. And CPB or Capester Beach Road does say complete street.
Yeah.
But I'll let you
Yeah.
cover the last two.
Yeah, so we Roosevelt is sidewalks again, and then Calf Pasture Beach Road, complete street. I think you saw a concept in the transportation master plan.
Yes.
It
It kind of inspired the Open Street event that we did last
Wow.
year.
Yeah, right. I think
that
so. I
specific
think we need to
concept.
start looking at what that would take to make it happen.
Totally. Okay, so now that we've
That
gone through the
represents
whole
our
thing,
capital budget request.
awesome. So the question I've been saving for the end because it applies to kind of everything is and I already see some of the answer here, but the biggest thing that's on my mind for 2024 is complete streets, which obviously is not a capital expense to the extent that it is. It's already been allocated, right?
Yep.
But once that's in place, assuming that it does go into place because that's the goal, what impact will that have on our ability to execute on projects like what's in here? And I guess ideally what I'd like to see, and I see a little bit of it, and I would like to see even more, is like once Complete Streets is lined up, like the design guide and the implementation plan and the ordinance, like are we gonna start using it? Are we gonna start like lining up our schedule of Complete Streets projects? And it seems like I'm seeing some of those already, like Taylor Ave, like I described. Cap Pasture Beach obviously is called out specifically as a complete street. Seaview is already in the works and it's been called a complete streets project. But do you have anything else to say there?
So my intent was that we would not break out these projects in the future as identifying them as complete streets, but that under complete streets ordinance, every project we do will be a complete street unless you can justify why it can't be for whatever outlaw, cost or your major cost or something. But I think the complete street design manual is really serves as the guide for I think the avenue that we're taking is that every project will be a complete street, and it's not that it's not going to be the exception, like we're calling out Calf Pasture as a complete street, right? Because everyone will be every design that we do, whether we do it in TMP, whether it is done in DPW, whether it is done through planning and zoning's requirement of development, that they will all have the same guidance that when we have a conversation with a developer that we want them to do this, that we can tie that to they said, well, where in your book does it say that I have to do that, right? So we have a book, right? So
yeah,
all of those will be the guiding things. So I think I would like to be in a point that we don't talk about complete streets, that it's just done, right? That's just a mindset of that we take into account, and that when we look at those things, we look at every project as the investments that we make in maintenance are there for 20 years, right? And if we don't do it now, we're not going to do it. So we should do it when we're doing the maintenance.
Okay, yeah, I think that answers my question. We're over time on the agenda, but
Sorry.
I know that it's just as much my fault as yours. And also it's a good problem to have because you've got a lot of good work lined up and it takes time to talk about it. Are there any other questions on the budget from other commissioners? I guess Manny did throw in a question. Thank you, Manny, for asserting yourself there. All right. Well, as usual, we're very appreciative of all the good work that TMP is doing.
And we're appreciative of you. Thank you.
We hope you get every single project
It
funded.
takes a team, right? And I think I think we're dry. I think it's taken a little while to turn the boat, right? But I think we're starting to turn the boat and make things happen. And I think we just need to make more stuff happen.
Amen.
All right. I'm gonna go grab dinner since I got out late and I didn't get anything before I started here. So have a great night, and I will see you all soon.
Thanks, Jim. Alrighty. Checking on the time, like I said, we're behind, but I felt like that was the highlight, or along with the visit from from Kristen that was the highlight of our meeting tonight. So I wanted to give it the time that it deserved. And I think some of these we can breeze through a little quicker than the time that we've allocated for them. So we have 4 things left on the agenda, plus approving the minutes. We have strategic plan review, grant status, education subcommittee update, and the bike friendly communities application status. So I'm gonna, because there's no obvious reason not to, I'm gonna keep going in that same order. Okay, the strategic plan review. So since the last commission meeting, we did have a special meeting where we talked only about the strategic plan, and we have what I might call a 90% design. I'm going to share it. There's a couple areas where we still want to fill some things in, but here's what we have. So our strategic plan is really a set of SMART goals, and I think most people are familiar with that term, but it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. Things that we can hold ourselves accountable to in a very concrete way. So I'm going to just read through this really quick. Well, I don't know. You all can read. Can you all see this, or should I zoom in?
Zoom in.
Okay. Do you want to call out this one? I want to congratulate Greg on accomplishing the first of the goals that are on here. Get a Safe Routes to School speaker at our meeting. And then become acquainted with Safe Routes to School program, which we are on our way to doing as part of this meeting.
Since I missed
think
the first half, I think we should still leave that on there.
we should, and I would like to fill in some goal. Manny, I think maybe right before you arrived, I was kind of distilling what Kristen was telling us into a set of different potential goals that we could set for this year. One would be to hold a walk, bike, and roll to school event. Another would be to I guess fill out or win that the Vision Zero program distinction. Another would be to get some of the curriculum. They have a lot of good curriculum resources that are just kind of like ready to go for things like PE and health classes in middle and elementary schools. So that could be another goal, is that we could have a goal to get one of those like pre-built curricula plugged in in a public school here in Norwalk in like the school year that starts in the fall. So I'm going to leave that up to you, and I'm not going to ask you to nail it down right now. But I am going to leave a placeholder. And write down some of these ideas. While I do this, everyone else, please read through all these goals so that we don't have to read them all out loud. All right, I'll give everybody one more minute to finish reading through everything, and then we can discuss. Alrighty. So as you can see, we've got them sorted into these different categories. Some are bigger than others. I want to call out that we have assigned every goal to an owner. That person is responsible for, that person is the one to be held accountable on behalf of the entire commission. Manny, can I go ahead and assign, this placeholder to you as well?
Sure.
Great. Also, Nick Pappas is not here tonight, but the 2 things that are assigned to him, Bike Ballet and community events, I did run by him and he agreed to be the owner for those. I with the exception of Judd, I think everybody is pretty decently represented on here. Judd has served a long time on the commission and has expressed that when we can find a commissioner to take his place, that he's happy to yield up his spot to a new commissioner. And also he wasn't able to make the planning meeting, so we didn't assign anything to him. One thing I want to call out right here is that I have taken on the goal where this set of 3 goals that all are about accountability. And that is that once per quarter, we check in during the Bike Law Commission meeting on our entire set of goals. Once a year, we check in with the mayor. That's more of a report, I guess, and then a report once a year to the Common Council as well. This right here is actually in our founding ordinance, and since I've been chair, I haven't done it. So I want to make good on that finally this year. Call out a couple other things. We are farther down the agenda. We have the Bike Friendly Communities Award. It's been publicly announced, and we'll talk more about it when we get there, but we received an honorable mention. So I would, now that that's public, I would rewrite this to say, earn a bronze, which would be the next level up in the 2024. Any questions about the goals that are on here?
I think they all look good. I don't think anything much has changed since our last meeting last week, but
It hasn't. No, this is more an opportunity for people who weren't at that meeting. I guess I do want to recognize Carly. Carly has joined us. Thanks for joining us, Carly. I know that nothing on here is particularly relevant to the redevelopment agency, but is there anything, especially as it relates to work that Redev does, that that you'd like to see represented here? Or if you need some more time to digest this, feel free to let me know offline. So
yeah, I'd
ahead.
have to go through it a little clearer.
That's fine.
I can give you some feedback.
Yeah, that would be great. So I believe we took action items to fill in a plan. I didn't follow up with anybody about this, so that's on me. But for each goal, I did want to nail down like a specific, just like a short list of like ways that we think we're going to accomplish this. So, for example, for Bike Valet at 3 events, we would say, we're going to do this at Earth Day. We're going to do this at the Nice Festival and the Oyster Festival, for example. And then for some things, if we already have like a written plan elsewhere, for example, we have the Open Street. We have a planning document for Open Street already, because that's been in the works for a little while. But I would like to suggest that we like officially vote to approve this. I guess, are we missing now because we lost Christine? I think we're down. Yeah, we're down to 3 commissioners, so I guess we can't have a binding vote because we're missing Judd and Christine and Nick. Okay, so I guess we'll punt, but we could. I still want to emphasize for the record that we are in a state of mostly completion here, and in our meeting a week ago, our special meeting, we all agreed that this was a good set of goals, and that it's representative, and that we're with the exception of these little things to add, like mostly the safe routes to school goal, that we're in a finished state. So any other comments on this, things that people want to see before we, next meeting when we can officially vote on this? All right. I still think that we should fill in, especially because now we have another month before we can vote on this. I'm going to be following up with people to fill in their plans. I think that as an action item. and then next time we'll vote. So speak now, or I will move on to the next item. Great. The next one is the recreational trails grant status. So I have a couple of updates here. Last week I was able to meet with the first selectman in Darien, and it was quite a productive meeting. I want to give a shout out to our representative Tracy Mara, who lined that up for me. And Tracy also attended and has been supportive of the project. For those following along at home, I gave an update about this last month as well. This is the concept of building a trail, similar to the NRVT, a paved shared use path that would connect Norwalk and Darien, with the longer term goal of connecting to Stamford and Greenwich and becoming the Fairfield County section of the East Coast Greenway. So, like I said, I met with the first selectman, which is essentially the mayor. Oh, Judd is joining. Welcome, Judd. And presented the high level concept. He liked the idea and said he was supportive in principle. He said he wants to see more public support in Darien. So I'm going to be taking that on and looking to organize and demonstrate public support. And I've got some leads on that already. But that's work that's going to go on, not just for the next month or two, but for a while yet. Also, I met with Greg and with Jim and Garrett on Friday, and we discussed some of the more technical details of the grant application. A couple things that I learned that I think everyone should know, both for this and for future projects. One is that in order for, and Greg, correct me if I get the details here wrong, but in order for the mayor to write a letter of support, so essentially in order for the city to apply for a grant in a competitive way, the Common Council has to vote to approve whatever local match is required. And this is something that is not the case in every city. Not every city has this requirement. And in particular, I think that Greenwich and Stamford didn't. And so because I wasn't aware of this, I was kind of approaching this thinking that we would navigate the process the same way that they did. But this is something that would need to happen very soon if we're going to make this March 11th deadline. I did have a conversation with Josh Goldstein, who is the chair of the Economic and Community Development Committee, and he confirmed that would have to happen. It would have to go through his committee, and that if we were to do it, it would require them to call a special meeting because they just had their monthly meeting like 4 days ago. So we just barely missed that, which is a bummer. The other thing is, I'm blanking. There's the money issue. Oh, also, that Greg, you were the one who brought this up, the scope of work and the cost estimates. We did learn that when Stamford and Greenwich applied, that they engaged with a consultant to get some estimates, and that the TMP says that they would have to do the same, which adds complexity and time to the whole process. Is that right?
Yeah, no, in order to get an idea of what, because they basically divided up into all different tasks as far as, preliminary design, public meetings, 30% design, 60, 90, all the way through the planning and design process. So they basically have a figure for each one of those tasks, and that's how Stamford and Greenwich ended up with the amount of money they're asking for. And that just shows that, the amount of money you're requesting through the grant program should cover the planning and design. The last thing you want to do is apply for $400,000, and once you go off to the RFP, it costs $600,000 because then who's paying that gap in $200,000 now? So it's good to have a consultant on board to have an idea of what it would cost, and then if you do get the grant, they'd be able to stick to those prices, and how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. So one of the action items that I took after the TMP meeting was to look into other grants that we could be applying for this year. Something that would be a shorter timeline than just waiting for this grant to come up again, which it likely would. I mean, there's reason to believe that it would a year from now, but that's not guaranteed. So I looked into that. I was not able to find anything. The community connectivity grant is the closest thing I found, and I learned that is for construction money only. There's also another one. I have the notes here, but I went through all of the grants that I could find on the state website. I also even looked into a federal grant, the Safe Streets for All grant, but it looks like that has some pretty that requires like a Vision Zero action plan to apply for. sorry, Greg, it looked like you were gonna say something. So,
You know, I could say that the Safe Streets for All is a very intensive program.
It-
As
it
far
looks
as
like it.
application, yes, it's very intense.
So, although there may be something out there that we could apply, that we could use besides the recreational trails grant, it seems like the rec trails grant is a very good fit relative to everything else that I saw. So the conclusion I came to is that if we didn't apply this year by March 11th, that we would probably end up waiting a year until next year whenever, if it's in March again or whenever they decide to do it, assuming that they do decide to do it. So with that, I would like to keep the conversation going about whether some version of this could be turned in by March 11th. In particular, I'm wondering if it would help to reduce the complexity by narrowing the scope down to just like a routing study, as opposed to planning and design. The Greenwich and Stanford grant was for planning and 100% design. But if we slimmed that down and did what I understand to be basically just planning, just like asking the consultant to come up with a route, with a preferred route, given the endpoints. I'm wondering if that would be any more feasible, assuming obviously that that I could talk the Economic and Community Development Committee into meeting to take that vote that they would need to take. But as far as TMP goes, would it help to narrow the scope in that way? If we did that, like, would you be able to get an estimate from a consultant?
I mean, I guess we could, but we just need to supply, like we talked about the other day, Tanner, we need to supply the consultant with what we're looking for and what tasks are going to be divided up. So they can give a price for each task, which, that takes time within itself to divvy up what those tasks are, as part of the planning process, even if it is just a routing.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have the match. That's the other thing. You still have to go in front, do a special meeting. I can tell you, looking through the calendar, there's a lot of upcoming meetings, for council, committee meetings coming up in February. So just to find a date to have a special meeting may be difficult. You also have a holiday that's incorporated. The 19th is a holiday. So,
Yep.
I know Josh said to, that they need to have a special meeting. I don't want to speak for him, but, there's a lot that still would go into even just the routing, planning of, for the grant as well.
Sure. So, so you're saying that there's still work involved in breaking out the work into its constituent pieces so that we can then ask a consultant for.
Of course, yeah, because they're going to want to know. They're going to want to know. Well, what am I doing? You want a routing, but what's the area? What tasks are being? What tasks do you want as part of it? How many public meetings do you need? What's the what kind of meeting schedule are we going to be on? What do you need from us? So that's all going to have to be divided out. And as we talked about the other day, we don't feel like it's a good interest to rush this through and put something together at this quicker rate right now, especially with a month left.
Yeah. For the record, I worked with Ben, shout out to Ben. And we put together a draft of the application, basically everything that the commission can answer, we went through and answered. So we've done that segment of it. Obviously, it would need review. But at this point, I'm trying to objectively evaluate the feasibility of putting something in by March 11th and like the trade-off, right? And so that's, for example, why I looked into the other grants, because if there's something else that would be a good fit that is like 6 months away, that makes a lot of sense. But given that there doesn't seem to be anything like that, it's a little bit more of a reason to investigate how feasible it is to go forward with March 11th. So obviously, I'm hearing you loud and clear that one of the biggest constraints is the Common Council. So I'm going to take that on and figure that out. But as far as TMP goes, what if anything could we provide that would make it feasible to put together that list of the breakdown of the scope of work for a routing study? Like, one thing that comes to mind, for example, is that I know that the NRVT did a routing study several years ago to examine the end-to-end routing. And so the scope is obviously much bigger because it's like a 40-mile trail. But like, if, for example, if we could get a copy of the grant application that they filled out for that routing study, would that be helpful?
I mean, anything's helpful, but I just, like I said, the turnaround time for all this and not even knowing if the committee will even vote yes or no on it for the match. We talked about it, the other day. We just, there's a lot still left to do and not much time at all. And we'd rather not rush something with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, well, I certainly won't ask you to do any work unless I get like a hard commitment from like Josh to hold the meeting and to, an indication that it would be a successful vote. Because I don't want you guys to waste your time. But also tomorrow there's the coalition call. Are you gonna be joining that? The
I'm
Fairfield
gonna
County
try
Health
to, I have 2 meetings around that time, so I may not be able to attend
Okay.
that.
Point is, I'll get back to you about this, but I will prioritize trying to get an answer from people on the council, because if I understand that if that's a no-go, then it's a no-go.
I mean, we're, like I said, we're not saying we don't want to do it. It's just more just the timing and just, we don't have a commitment to fund this. We don't have the funding.
Yeah,
We can get the application buttoned up and, and not even be able to make it to the DCD committee, and it's all for naught.
Okay, well, then we'll talk more offline about this, but I appreciate understanding all the constraints. Other questions about that from commissioners or anybody else? Awesome. Education subcommittee update, Manny.
How's it going, everybody? Apologies for not being able to catch the Safe Routes to School portion of the meeting, as I think it's pretty important for the educational subcommittee, but I had some stuff going late for work. So the first thing that I just want to talk about is Christine reached out to Brianna Lorofino, who is with Newlands Health and Norwalk Hospital, to do a follow-up meeting regarding our previous meeting, as she's Brianna's a person who is really interested in providing education for safety in the community, and so we're trying to work together to partner either through our events or also with getting connected to the school district. And then that goes into the follow-up meeting that will be happening this coming Monday, hopefully, with Joanna Van Sander. I know Tanner and Emily will be attending lunch meeting with her in order to just build a connection there between the school district and the Bike Walk Commission. And then lastly, I've completed a script for a video to begin shooting soon. I've gotten some feedback from Christine, and Emily's looked at it. I know Greg sent me an email today, and if there's anything that I can add or take away, Greg, or any feedback from the TMP, I would greatly appreciate it, as then I'll start shooting it and editing it and putting it together. But as you mentioned, I'll run it by you guys again before anything becomes public. So
Yeah, I mean, and Manny, just I hope you understand what I was saying. We just, anytime we put anything public facing, we just need to make sure that it's accurate, no matter what we're putting out there. Just even as a discussion point, because you never know how someone's going to interpret it during a public meeting. It goes the same for any communication that the city puts out. So it all fits under the same umbrella, and you guys are no different as you're under the city umbrella. So that's all I was saying. Let's just make sure it's buttoned up. The wording and what we're the guidance that we're providing is accurate, and then we can definitely put it out to the public for facing view.
No, that makes a lot of sense. No, I appreciate it. Yeah, and I'd love to get your feedback, just because we don't want to put something together that the city doesn't feel it represents them well. Oh, and that's all I got for the update so far.
Okay, thanks, Manny. Sorry, I missed some of that because my headphones died, but you can all hear me still, right? Great. Anything else on education?
No, that's kind of it, just slowly moving the dial on some of the things, including some of the things that are on our goals for the year. And that's kind of the way it's moving along.
I'm sorry if you already mentioned this and I missed it because my headphones cut out. I think last meeting, you set a goal to bring a video or to have a video ready by this meeting. What's the status on that?
Yeah, so I have a script. You know, I honestly just didn't make the time. Well, I think some of the weather issues, and then I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to have a video together by this time around. But definitely the script's written. I've gotten some feedback, and then I'm ready to just assemble it together and shoot it. Maybe ask some people to volunteer to, you know, be filmed using the green bike lane.
And Manny, I can clarify as well. Tanner, one thing I had talked to Manny about, I sent an email to the education committee, was we want to make sure that the script and the video, whatever we show during a public meeting, is buttoned up. We want to make sure it's vetted and we're conveying properly what the guidance is and, you know,
Okay.
how to correctly use it. We don't want to correct it while on a public meeting and say something that's inaccurate. We want to make sure that it's right. And with any communication we put out through the city, no matter if it's through common council committees, you know, social media, we want to make sure it's accurate. So it shouldn't be done during a public
Want to
meeting.
review the script? Have you reviewed the script already?
I have the script. Yes, I haven't had a chance to review it yet.
Okay. But do you think that you can do that by the next meeting?
Yeah, no, we can do it for the next meeting, but I told Manny that, you know, let's make sure that it's correct so that we're not doing it in the middle of a public meeting, like, oh, don't put that, put this.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. We can certainly accommodate that.
Yeah, we don't want to put anything false on during a public meeting.
Of course. Okay, so then step one would be for TMP to review it, review the script, and then I imagine you'd want to review the shot video as well to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd rather do that offline instead of doing it during the meeting.
Yeah, that
100%. Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, Manny, when do you think that you can start shooting?
I want to shoot this month, and hopefully we have more sunny days this month, and so which will make it easier to shoot a video about, you know, bike lanes. It'll just look better.
Okay, so do you think it's reasonable to set a goal to have TMP review the script, to shoot the video, and then have TMP review the video before the next meeting?
Yeah, I think that's a fair goal. I think maybe have a preliminary draft to give TMP by the next meeting.
Okay,
Does that
so
make sense?
to have video shot.
Because we probably won't be showing it at this meeting, the next meeting. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I just
Because I'm sure they might go through a revisions process, and so that's my assumption. That it'll probably go through a revisions process, so we probably want to have a finished product by next meeting. But I think that's what you were saying basically. I'm reiterating what you did.
I'm wondering how aggressive you want to be with setting a goal, because I'll hold you accountable in the next meeting.
I can have something. The script's finished, so I can have something by next meeting. I just don't think we're not going to be watching it here.
Okay,
because
you'll have a draft that TMP will be reviewing by next meeting. A draft of a video. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm clear on that. Any other questions about education? And Greg, thank you for calling that out. I definitely want to. I share your concern about making sure that if we show stuff in the public meeting and it's buttoned up. Where are we? Okay, bike friendly communities application status. And this is our last thing. Yeah, as I alluded to earlier, we finally got the news and we received an honorable mention. Honorable mention is the lowest category that they give out, but it is recognition. It's recognition that in particular, honorable mention is a recognition that you're moving, that you're making active progress toward bikeability. It's not given to communities that are like a little bit bikeable but not making progress. We did get a report card that people can look at in detail on their own time. It's on the bike friendly or the League of American Cyclists website. But just to show you what this looks like, so you know when you found it, there's 5 different categories we were scored on. As we knew going in, education was our lowest category. Engineering, encouragement, and evaluation were all pretty high. I'm pleased to see that encouragement was as high as it was. I figured that we would get most points for engineering. and maybe for planning as well. There's a bunch of detail that we provided, demographic information. The survey responses are pretty cool. It looks like our distribution of like how satisfied people are with writing. Actually, first of all, I want to point out that we had 200 responses to our survey, which I'm pleased by. But I also think that next year we could do even better. But it's probably more than I would have guessed, so I'm happy. Our distribution here looks about even. About the median person is neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. Is it safe or dangerous to ride a bicycle in your neighborhood? Does it depend? Most people said it depends, but way more people said dangerous than safe. Less than 10% of people said that it's safe to ride in their neighborhood. Again, we're not going to go through the entirety here, but I thought that the public survey response was maybe the most revealing thing. The number one change you'd like to most see the government make is more bike paths, and that was substantially higher, statistically significant, higher than more bike lanes. So I hope, I guess, I don't know if I put this on the record before, but for the record, I hope that the Complete Streets Design Guide includes elements to where possible add concrete separated bike paths, whether that's a cycle track on the level of the sidewalk or otherwise, because it is a lot more comfortable and safe for people than just a painted lane. So I invite you all to go look through this in detail. I will be doing the same. The last thing, and I wish we had time to go through all of this because it's all very good, but they wrote a bunch of personalized feedback for Norwalk, and it's like a page and a half. I am pleased to see that the number 2 thing on there is to continue the efforts to adopt a complete streets policy and implementation guidance, because we are hard at work on that. Obviously, expanding the low stress bike network. A lot of this has to do with engineering, I think rightly so. Bike parking inventory, partnering with the Bike Walk Commission, bike share system. Like, they called out a lot of stuff that is already on our radar that we're working on. Education was low. We received low marks for education, and that's called out here as well. I mean, nothing here is super surprising to me, but it's nice to have it confirmed by people who do this for a living. So like I said, I invite you all to go read this, and I will I will include a link. I'll email this out to everybody so that you have easy access to it. So questions about that?
Where can we find that document? Is it just on the website, or is it?
It'll be in your email in about 10 minutes.
Awesome. Okay.
But it's also on bikeleague.org, which is the league.
And we just in the website we can just search up Norwalk, right?
You should be able to, yeah, like in their database of bike friendly awards. Okay, we can talk more about this later because I know we're over time, but I just want to put it on people's radar that well, I don't, it may be too late by the next meeting. We should use this opportunity to create a conversation about this. Obviously, the people who matter most, like TMP, are already well aware and are working on bicycle infrastructure, etc. But I think that the league said that they would be providing instructions on how to use the award to generate support and to put political pressure on leaders to do more. I think that the honorable mention, frankly, is that's the biggest silver lining to getting honorable mention as opposed to bronze, is that we now can say very concretely, like, we need to do more. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in progress that we are doing. I don't want to discount that, but I think it's an opportunity. For example, we could do a press release. So I'm going to take an action item because I've been talking with Michelle in the communications department, but I would love to have the city put out a press release about the award and the progress that we have made, the projects that we've completed, and like putting them in context, and then also putting the in progress projects in context. Obviously, Greg, TMP is a huge part of this. To what extent do you want to be involved in, like, a press release or other public outreach efforts that are specifically associated with this award?
I don't know. We haven't really talked about it very much about getting a press release as part of TMP. So I would say,
I don't think you necessarily need to be involved. I just don't want to leave you out.
yeah, I mean, just whatever you're going to post, just send it to us first. And this way we can look. I know you're working with through Michelle as well, but just have just share it with us as well. We'll take a look at it because we haven't read this report yet either, so we definitely want to.
Cool. Well, I'm going to include you on the email that I'm about to send out, so you'll have a link to it. Yeah, I'm going to work with Michelle, and then also I'm going to dig up the whatever other guidelines the bike league has for using this to our advantage. All right. I do want to recognize Judd. Judd, thanks for joining. Before we end the meeting, Judd, do you want to comment on anything?
Hi, Tanner. I don't have any comments.
All right. Well, I'm glad you made it.
I was in earlier, but I wasn't in as a participant. So anyway, I came in when Jim was talking.
Got it. Okay, I think that concludes our meeting.
Tanner,
Oh,
before
Carly,
we end, can I bring up about raise?
yes, I'm going to use whatever executive privilege I have to give Carly 2 minutes.
Okay, the redevelopment agency is putting in an application for the federal DOT raise program. Simplified application this year. We took out the parking that was included last year and some of the solar. So this
Is this
year,
for the South Norwalk Station? Just give us the context. Sorry.
yeah. I'm about to.
Okay.
So this year it's for more concentrated on MLK, complete streets, running from all the way up at the intersection of South Main, MLK, and West Ave, and down to Wilson Ave. So we extended the boundary. It's about a little under 2.25 miles. And it will include a bike path. That's the goal, along that entire corridor. And the second bucket is local street improvements, which have already been approved under the community challenge grant that we won, and that'll be used as match. And the third bucket is wayfinding, signage and digital smart signage at the train station for increased wayfinding and accessibility.
Gotcha. Two questions. Number one, can you send me the detailed info on this? And number two, what is the deadline?
Yep. So I will send you a draft letter of support like we usually do. And the deadline is February 28th for the grant.
Okay, so before our next meeting.
Yep.
We don't have a quorum here or no, we do now that Judd's here. So I know that we're light on details here. Does anybody want to hear? I mean, I would like to hear a little bit more details, but I also know that we're over time. So assuming that Carly can provide me with some more details and that there's no obvious red flags, can we get a vote to approve or reject the idea of writing a letter of support for this? This is like streetscape improvements around the South Norwalk train station. That's the thrust of it, right?
Yeah. So essentially it concentrates around the South Norwalk train station, but it extends even beyond that,
Yeah.
on MLK all the way down to Wilson Ave, for that bike path.
So any concerns? I think that I can't make the motion, but I'll entertain a motion to authorize. I think I've done this before. It makes sense for me to do it.
A motion.
Okay, Manny moves.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Judd. Emily?
Yeah, I'll agree.
Okay, then I'll review the letter that Carly sends me over and the additional details. And assuming there's no red flags, I will send in a letter of support.
Great, thank you.
Alrighty. The last thing on the agenda is minutes from the most recent meeting. I think we've had 2 meetings since the last one, right? We had our special meeting. I haven't had a chance to read the minutes from the special meeting, but I did read the minutes from the one a month ago when they looked good. So I'm happy to entertain at the very least a motion to approve the minutes from the last regular meeting. But if somebody has read the minutes from the special meeting, please speak now.
I was not there.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of January 8th, 2024?
I'll make it a motion to approve the January minutes.
Do I have a
I'll
second?
second that motion.
Okay. Emily?
Yeah, I'll agree.
Great. Thanks as always to Delene for taking our dutiful minutes. And by next meeting, I'll read the special meeting minutes. I just haven't done it yet. Alrighty, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you everybody for sticking with us a little bit over time. Manny,
Thank you.
do I have a second?
Afterwards?
Yes.
Okay, and then Judd.
Yes,
All right, thanks everybody for coming. See you in a month.
thank you.
Have a good night.